Hi friends, I have some vintage farmhouse DIYs that are perfect to decorate for after the 4th of July and into early fall, so come craft with me. I'm Sarah and welcome to my channel Primroselaneprims. I hope you'll consider hitting that subscribe button so that you can craft with me in the future. And now let's get right to those DIYs. For this first DIY, I'm going to be using these wooden rings that I got off Amazon. You can also find these at Dollar Tree, but my Dollar Tree's been out of them recently, so if yours has them, I'm jealous. And then I'm also going to be using this canvas drop cloth. Now this is just a plain old canvas drop cloth you can get at Lowe's. You can find them online. Pretty inexpensive. You can get a lot of projects out of one. And I'm going to be cutting this at about 6 inches in width and 11 in length approximately. And then I'm going to start by cutting this into 1-inch strips. We are going to be making some rustic sunflowers, and these are going to be the petals of our sunflowers. I'm just going to use one of my strips as a template to cut the rest of my strips out. Makes it easier than trying to measure, and these do not have to be exactly at all. Approximate, that kind of just adds to the rustic charm if they're a little bit different. No big deal. And this canvas will fray a little bit on the edges, which also is perfect to give it that extra rustic look. As I was doing this, I quickly realized the 1-inch strips were just a little too thick. So I went back through and I cut these back down cut them in half, so they'll be 1/2-inch strips. So save yourself the time if you're doing this and just cut them into 1/2-inch strips to start with. Once you have all your strips cut, you're just going to fold it in half, loop it through your ring, slide your tails through the loop, and pull it tight. I'm just going to continue to do this all the way around my ring. I believe I took around 14 to go through my ring, and it's about a 1.5-inch ring. You could also use a canning lid jar if you didn't have the wood rings as a replacement. Just anything circular. I didn't use the canning lid because, well, I use my canning lids for canning. I like to reuse them if they're in good shape. So I kind of keep those and stash them away for canning. Canning rings. Excuse me, I just realized I said canning lids. I meant the canning rings. I reuse the canning rings each year as long as they're in good shape. Any other canners on here? I have apple trees on my property, so every year it's a big thing. Me and the kids, the family, we go out, we pick apples, and then we always process a whole lot of homemade applesauce, as much as I can possibly make, and I will can it so that we will have it throughout the year. I absolutely love some fresh cinnamon applesauce. And so do my husband and kids. We all love it. Last year, the weather was so dry, so we didn't hardly get any apples at all. It wasn't even enough to can. But this year, the tree's looking really good, so I have really high hopes that we will be able to restock our pantry with some homemade applesauce. And here's what it looks like once you get all of your canvas strips on. Next, I'm going to take this piece of cardboard. This is a thin piece of cardboard, it's about the thickness of a piece of cardstock, and I'm just going to trace my wood ring around it. This is going to be the center of, I'm going to use it as the base for the center of my flower, and I'm going to cut 2 of these out because I'm going to need one for the front and one for the back. I'm actually just using this cardboard because I had it on hand. It's actually the box that the rings came in from Amazon, but a piece of cardstock would also work for this. Next, I'm going to take a piece of fabric, and you can use the fabric of your choice, whatever you would want to be the center of your flowers. I'm using this homespun black and cream gingham, and I'm going to also need a little bit of stuffing. Not much, just a little tiny bit, because it's going to stuff the center of this flower. I'm going to lay my stuffing down, lay my cardboard on top, and then I'm just going to start hot gluing my fabric around the edges of this cardboard. Seal it up. Just tack down those little extra edges there that are sticking up. Once you have that done, I'm just going to add some hot glue all around my edge and glue it right along the center of my flower. And look how cute, just as it is. I think it's cute. Now for my stem, I just went out and I grabbed a stick from my yard. I love the rustic look of just a stick as the stem. If you don't want to use a stick, you could also use a dowel rod, but like I said, I prefer the stick because it's that extra primmy rustic look, and it's free. I mean, you can't get much more budget friendly than free. And I'm just going to take some hot glue and I'm going to glue it down on the back here. And then I'm going to take my second piece of cardboard that I cut out, and I'm going to hot glue that right over top just to finish off that back and hide the back of that stick. Just make it look a little more finished and neat looking. And this is thin enough. It just molds real easy around that stick. And here's what it looks like. Now I'm going to make 3 total of these for this project. Next, I'm going to take this tin can and I'm going to give it a coat of Waverly chalk paint in the color of ink. This is one of the little bit wider tin cans. I think it maybe was originally had tomatoes in it, crushed tomatoes, I think, in it. And I'm just giving this one quick coat. It does not have to be perfect. It can have there's a little bit of silver shining through. That's absolutely okay because we are going to grunge this up and make it look real distressed, real vintage, primmy, old. Next, I'm going to go in with my Waverly Antique Wax, and I'm going to just start dry brushing this in and around the can on top of the black. It's kind of hard to see on camera a little bit, but this just kind of gives it that little faux rusty look underneath. Next, I'm going to take my Mod Podge and then just some cinnamon. And I thought I had my camera rolling before I did, and so I missed part of this. I apologize. But I'm just going to take my Mod Podge and intermittently place it around the can and then sprinkle my cinnamon on top and press it down in. I'm not doing the full can, full coverage. I'm just placing it intermittently around. I'm still going to leave some of that black and some of that antique wax showing through as well. So just sprinkle your cinnamon on and then just press it down into that Mod Podge with your finger. And then once I have it distressed with the cinnamon to my liking, I'm just going to sit and let that dry for a couple minutes. Not very long, just a few. let it set for just a few minutes. Now, once that's set for a few, I'm going to take my matte finish Mod Podge and I'm just going to go over this with one good coat. And you might see your cinnamon smears a little bit, and that's okay. It's kind of like a little cinnamon pasty a little bit, and it's going to add to that grungy look. And you'll notice I'm pouring my Mod Podge out on a separate thing instead of dipping back in my bottle. I don't want to get cinnamon back in my main bottle, so that all my future projects are cinnamon covered. And if you're liking this video so far, please be sure to give it that thumbs up down there. And if you haven't done so already, I hope you'll consider hitting that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future fun budget-friendly DIYs for around the home. Now, once you have your can covered with your Mod Podge, just sit and let that fully dry. And this is what it looks like when it's done. It has that beautiful faux rust, grungy finish. It smells really good, and it's perfectly sealed. Next, I'm just going to hot glue a piece of floral foam down in here. You can find this Walmart, Dollar Tree. And then I'm going to go in with some Spanish moss, and I'm going to hot glue some Spanish moss over the top to cover all of that floral foam. I used to get my Spanish moss all the time at the Dollar Tree, but anymore my Dollar Tree never seems to have it in anymore. Does anyone else ever find that problem? Does your Dollar Tree have it in? If you do, once again, I'm also jealous if it is, because I use a lot of Spanish moss in my projects and I miss not finding it at the Dollar Tree. Once I have my Spanish moss, I'm going to go back in with the same fabric that I used to do the center of my flowers. And I'm just going to cut about 1.5 inch strip, enough to go around my can and to tie it in the front. So depending on the size of the can you use, that will depend on how long your strip of ribbon needs to be. I love using the homespun fabric. You can find it at, well, I used to get it at Joann's, but since Joann's is no longer, Hobby Lobby has it at pretty decent prices. Just wrap it around your can here, once you figure out which side you want to be your front, and just tie it off in a knot right in the front. Now to finish off the can, I'm going to take one of these rusty stars and I'm going to hot glue it right in the center. You can find these on Amazon or even Factory Direct. I'll leave a link to the ones I get on Amazon down below in case anyone's interested. I use these quite frequently in projects. Now I'm going to take my 3 flowers, because like I said, you need 3 of them for this particular project. And I made the sticks at varying lengths. And now all I'm going to do is pop them right down in my floral foam, with the shortest one being in the front. And here you go, a cute little can of sunflowers. I love how this turned out. Leave me a comment and let me know what you think. For this next project, we are going to be using this canvas drop cloth once again. Cut about a 2-inch long strip approximately 2 inches long, we're going to be making a no-sew sunflower bowl filler. These could also be ornaments too. If you do the little country trees that you decorate year-round, these also make perfect ornaments for those. So it's about 2 inches wide, and I'm just going to start cutting this into about a 1/2 inch strips. Like I said, this is kind of approximate. I didn't measure any of this out specifically, but I think some of that slight difference just adds to that primitive charm. And these are going to be the little petals of our sunflowers. So once I had that done, I just chopped these in half. So they're about 1 inch each, close to it. Now I'm going to make a little template for the body of my sunflower, and I'm just going to use this ribbon. This is just one of the little small ribbons from the Dollar Tree. It's really good size, and I'm going to put it on this cardboard and cut it out. Like I said, this cardboard is about this thickness of cardstock, so cardstock would also work, or just regular cardboard. Just something to make a little template to put on the fabric of your choice. I'm once again going with the black and cream homespun gingham. And you just want to cut out a little section that you can trace your pattern onto. Now these sunflowers can easily be made larger or smaller. Just change the size of the circle for the body of your sunflower. So if you want to make these big, make them big. If you want to make them smaller, you can make them smaller. And you're going to want to cut out 2 of these circles, one for the top and one for the bottom. As you can see, I have my 2 circles for the body of my sunflower, and I have my petals. So now all we have to do is put this together, which is super, super simple. We're just going to use some hot glue, add a little strip, and then just start lining up our petals right down the hot glue. You can let them overlap slightly or no. Just like so, and keep doing that all the way around. I love using sunflowers to decorate for the second half of summer and into early fall. Sunflowers have always been one of my favorite go-tos. Now that you have your petals around, we're going to take just a little bit of the polyfill stuffing. Now, before I stuff it though, I'm going to hot glue my other piece around. Just add a little hot glue and connect the 2. You want to leave a little space though to put your stuffing in, so don't close it up completely, just most of the way. Stuff your stuffing in the center. You don't want to overstuff it so that it lays funny, just enough to give it a little bit of dimension. And then finish closing up that flower. Now I want to make this a little more rustic looking, so I'm going to go with my Waverly Antique Wax, just a really, really light amount on my brush, and I'm just going to delicately go over top of the canvas petals, just to grunge them up a little bit, to make them look a little aged. This is a little primmy sunflower. And a little bit in the center too. The last thing to do is going to take one of these paper tags. I get these off Amazon. You can get a whole giant bag for really, really cheap. And with my fine tip Sharpie marker, I'm just going to freehand sunflower seeds, 5 cents. And then I'm just going to crumple that paper tag up, get it all wrinkly. And then I'm going to take my Waverly Antique Wax and I'm going to go over it as well to give it that aged paper look. Next, I'm going to take this really thin jute twine and I'm just going to tie a really simple shoestring bow. And to attach it here, I'm just going to take a small little dab of hot glue to add that paper there. And then right there over the hole, I'm going to put the little shoestring bow. And here we have it, a cute little dobo filler, or add a string to the back and put them on your little tree, country tree. For this last DIY, I'm going to use one of these 14-inch wire wreath frames from the Dollar Tree. This yellow burlap ribbon that you can get at Hobby Lobby, this is a 15-foot roll, and some dark brown burlap, as well as some pipe cleaners, or a way to attach our stuff to our wreath frame. I'm going to start cutting my burlap, yellow burlap, into 11-inch strips. Well, I'm going to try. I didn't push hard enough on that first go. Or the second, apparently. That's okay because third time's a charm, right? And there we go. I'm also going to be cutting my brown burlap into the same size strips. Now, I didn't buy the burlap ribbon because I already had this dark brown regular burlap and I thought I'm going to make this work instead of having to buy something extra. So I'm just going to use a piece of my yellow burlap strip that I cut to use as a template for cutting my brown burlap. Now for the yellow burlap, I ended up with 15 total strips, and you're going to need 30 total strips of the brown. And in case you haven't guessed, we're going to be making a sunflower wreath. Now with my little pipe cleaners here, I'm going to cut these down into thirds, so that way I can make these go further. If that's too small, if that hurts your hands to work with something so small, just cut them in half. But you can get more bang for a buck if you cut these. Now to put these little bundles together, I'm going to pull my burlap at the corners, walk my fingers into the center, and then just fold it in half. We want our corners to be pointy. Pull up any little stragglers from the burlap. And then I'm going to take my pipe cleaner, I'm going to wrap it around the base here. Secure it tightly, and then we will wire it to that top inner, we'll wire it to that top inner frame wire. Top inner frame wire. Just like that. Now it is easier if you go ahead and make all of your bundles at one time, so that way you'll just have a big pile of your bundles and you can just start putting them right on your wreath frame and not have to stop and make one every couple seconds. So you will have 30 total of the brown. And if you don't remember how many of these, don't worry, I'll put it down in the description box. So now once you have all of your bundles made, just start going through and attaching them. And for each little section of the frame, I'm going to put 5 bundles in each one of these little wire sections. One, two, three, four, five. So that's what each of these little sections will look like. And you just want to keep going all the way around, and you'll have 30 total. And here's what it's going to look like when you have all 30 of them wired to your frame. Next, we're going to go through and make the yellow bundles, same as the brown. Pull each of your opposite corners, walk it to the center, and fold it in half, and then secure it with a piece of pipe cleaner. So pull the opposite corners, fold in half, and tie. And for these, I'm going to put them on that lower inner wire right here. And I'm going to add, to start off, 2 of these in each section. So 2 yellow in each section, and that's going to end up leaving 4 left over, and I'll show you what to do with those here in just a second. Now you're going to have these 4 left over, and I'm just going to go through and find where it needs filled in the most to place my extras. So now once again, that's going to be 30 for the brown and 15 for the yellow. Now for the center of the wreath, I'm just going to be taking one of these rounds. This is just one of the wood rounds from the Dollar Tree. They're thin, they're lightweight, but it's perfect for what we're going to need right here. And I'm going to take the piece of twine off, but save it. I'll need that for later. And I'm just going to give this a good coat of the Waverly Antique Wax. this will be covered, but I want the base to be brown. I want it to blend in because the sunflower is brown. And so for any of this wood that would happen to show through, we want it to be brown to blend in. And I'm going to do both the front and the back. So the back of it also, if you look at the wreath from the back, it looks finished. I have heard tell that the Dollar Tree is going to be raising prices here at the end of June. What are your guys' thoughts on that? I know I get a lot of supplies from the Dollar Tree, so let me know what your thoughts on that raising prices are again. Now, I want to mimic the look of sunflower seeds for the center of my wreath. So I racked my brain and I came up with using the parts of a pine cone to mimic seeds. These are actually some of ones I had left over from Christmas. They're the cinnamon scented ones you can get in the bag, but they'd kind of gotten crushed in the bottom of the bag a little bit, so they weren't really good for any other project. So I just took my wire cutters and started chopping these down. And I think I chopped about 5 total of these pine cones. It really was pretty simple to do, pretty easy. It's a little messy, so definitely you want to put something down to do it on. But they came up pretty easily, and it gave a purpose for these smashed pine cones that otherwise I couldn't really use. Just be careful. Some of those little edges can be pokey. Now, so here's what they look like. And like I said, I did about 5 pine cones. I did this too. Before we start adding our faux seeds in, we need a way to attach this to the wreath. So I'm going to go back in here and I'm going to add this piece of twine back in because I already had it, so I might as well use it. I just strung it through, tied it in the back, and left some tails that I can use to tie it to my wreath frame. And I needed a second point of attachment, so I'm going to use one of these pipe cleaners, a scrap piece of fabric here, and I'm just going to hot glue my pipe cleaner down and then use the fabric to go over top to secure it. And this will be hidden back behind the sunflower petals, so you won't really see that at all, even from the back. Very minimal. Now I'm just going to put my pipe cleaners through my wreath frame. And at the top, I'll put the pieces of twine through the same way. And then just tie it down tight. Just be sure to tuck any of those extra long ends in so that way there's no scratching of your door or your wall or whatever you hang your wreath on. Then pull your little petals out so they're all straight and around the wood board. And now we are ready to add our seeds. Now to do this, I'm just going to take some hot glue and I'm just going to pour a good bit just all around in a section on my piece of wood and then sprinkle my pine cone pieces down on here and press them down into the glue. Just want to make sure they get pressed down in there real good, and then just continue doing this all the way around. This whole process, even though I have it a little sped up from the purposes of the video, it really didn't take all that long to do. I think total it took me maybe 10 to 15 minutes total to do the entire center of this. So not long, really. And I love how these are turning out for faux sunflower seeds. I absolutely love the texture that it adds to this wreath. And you will, of course, have lots of little hot glue stringies you'll have to pull up. Now at the end, you can go back and see if there's any that aren't quite secured down. You can add a little hot glue or fill in any places that maybe are a little thin. And any hot glue stragglers that are hanging on. Last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take these little metal signs that come from the Dollar Tree. I think I picked these up last fall maybe. And I'm going to take the one that says welcome, and with some hot glue, I'm going to add it right on top of here. Now, the one thing I didn't do here that I think I'm going to have to go back and do is I'm going to add a second type of glue. Like, you probably want to use also a super glue or an E6000 in conjunction with your hot glue, because metal and hot glue doesn't always like to hold long term, and to make sure that it stays, especially if this is in a place like maybe your front porch or someplace where it could be getting sun on it, you want something more than just that hot glue to secure it. So I do end up going back after this is all said and done and adding some super glue behind this to give it extra security. Sometimes hindsight is 20/20. Add a little hanger to the back with some wire, and here it is. I love how this turned out. Leave me a comment and let me know which of today's projects was your favorite. So that's it for today, friends. I hope you enjoyed today's DIYs. If you did, don't forget to give this video a like, maybe share it with your friends. And if you haven't done so already, I hope you consider hitting that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future fun, budget-friendly DIYs for around the home. So until next time, happy crafting, friends.